Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Conspirial. I'm your host, Addison Rose.
And I'm spooked out.
Yeah, it's a little creepy here.
Yeah.
We kind of got everything going for us. It's almost Halloween.
It's dark.
Dark by White Rock Lake.
Yeah.
Where
In Dallas, Texas.
where we're going to be. The reason why we're here today is because we both went on a ghost tour here right around the time that we were talking about. And this time in Dallas wasn't really that long ago when all of these like transgender murders and things started coming up. But we're here where the bodies were found, and so we thought we'd do like a Halloween kind of
Spooky special episode.
yeah, just for the fun of it. So hope nothing happens.
I hope something
Knock
happens.
on- I don't want any of that at all. Sounds like a horrible time.
I hope something spooky happens.
I
I don't hope we get murdered, but
Yo,
someone like tug our hair or something.
I don't, not me, Daddy. So,
Daddy.
Daddy,
Daddy,
wait.
Daddy.
Wait. So.
Mommy, wait. Mommy, wait.
Oh,
Because
see,
it's
I
the
don't-
lady
I
of the
don't-
White Rocket.
That is true. I don't like the whole mommy or daddy play. I'm good. But if she pulls your hair, how can we refuse? um, but we're actually gonna do something a little bit different once again.
Because it's a special episode.
Yeah, because obviously this lake has been around for a long time. There's a lot of things that happen, so we're kind of do a current-ish event that happened here that kind of brought attention to. We're going to dive into a little bit of the folklore as well. So
Yes.
I'm actually going to start us off today. So hopefully everything
Do it right.
doesn't mess up. Yeah, I have a lot of pressure.
Ladies first.
This guy over here just
Not our intern
our
falling.
intern just fell, and so if I got distracted, means we're off to a good start. Now, crewmate, was that the lady of the lake that pulled you? We have to know. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
God damn it, I'm out. We're turning the cameras off. I'm out. So yeah, so one of the reasons why we ended up going on that
Is the mic plugged in tight?
ghost tour
Okay.
thing was the fact that unfortunately the bodies of those missing transgender women.
There was a situation that happened where trans women were disappearing and their bodies was popping up here at
Yeah.
White Rock Lake.
Yeah, so kind of want to check that out. Did the ghost tour, and that's actually what my bit's gonna be about. So and I don't know if you remember, like when the news was like first breaking, they really wanted this to be like a serial killer.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
it was weird, right? Like, oh, someone's just
A
nabbing.
Dallas serial killer.
And so, spoiler alert, that actually wasn't the case at all. Obviously, we would still be talking about it, right?
Right.
Like Dr. Death. But since it was actually, two victims, both had different killers that have currently been locked up. So the first one we're going to talk about was a woman named, and I'm sorry if I butchered this, I believe it's Chanel Lindsay, and if it's not,
I believe it was
so
Chanel.
sorry. So they found her here at White Rock Lake on the Saturday afternoon.
And we think we're like 85% sure we're right where all the bodies are found.
Yes, because part of that tour they
That we took a couple years ago.
yeah, it was about like the currents and just how big and how the lake works. This is just where conveniently the bodies were dumped out. So she was the second killing in 2 weeks that a black transgender woman in Dallas was taken and murdered. So that was crazy.
Trans woman.
What did I say?
Transgender, it's trans woman.
I apologize. I'm just reading what I had written in my notes, unfortunately. So, like I said, they really wanted to be a serial killer.
But it was just two assholes.
It was just two different assholes. One of the asshole was a 22-year-old man at the time named Ruben Alvarado, and he was brought into questioning, and was held at $500,000. Obviously didn't go out, but he was found because the GPS data showed his was him
Yeah, you
coming
can't do
here.
shit now. Leave your phone at home.
Yeah, be smart. We're trying to give you tips.
We're trying to.
Uh,
If you have a smart car, don't take a bike.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. A lot of people have bikes. You're fine. You'll get out. They know your car tires and the GPS and shit.
Right?
You're
That's how they
done.
caught Aaron Hernandez.
Fucking couldn't learn.
Not my cousin.
Yeah. So he did one, and then that was for Chanel, and then once again, so sorry. Malaysia. I'm sorry, Malaysia Booker. It's spelled crazy. There's like an M-U-H. Nothing against it.
Spelled unique.
Yes, spelled very unique, and I'm sorry if I butchered that. So she was fatally shot just 2 weeks after suffering a brutal attack in a parking lot. So she was attacked 1 week, and then a couple weeks later, she's found dead.
We need to do better and protect our women.
We do. And so, but that was a different guy. That wasn't even the different guy that ended up being accused.
I know.
For her murder, so which was absolutely crazy. She was then found shot on May 18th on Far East Street. Just after a month, she was actually a victim in a mob attack. So it was just several people that went after her for some sort of traffic incident.
Isn't it always?
Always is. That's true. Suffered a concussion and a fractured wrist. And then there was actually a video of her getting her. It's a terrible, horrible thing to watch. And it actually gained traction. So that was pretty neat. Poor choice of words. Neat was not a great choice of words. It was just crazy how they were able to find him. And the person that actually did kill her, he was already in jail for like another couple murders. So when they found they found his car matching to be the car that took her from when she was last found. So since he was already in jail suspected on another murder, he was like, yeah, that was me. I did that. And then he was real pinned. So unfortunately there was no of the mass hysteria of the serial killer thing that all kind of gained traction. But we did
Not us fangirling.
a little bit. You hear it when they say it's a potential serial killer, you always go, oh no shit. Like,
Oh damn.
Like, boy,
Am I the drama?
Am I the drama? Yeah, you kind of feed off of it. So we felt, or at least I felt, pray tell to
Where the hell have you
to
been,
that
Loco?
connect. Just absolutely wild. So yeah, the two people that were found were convicted, and they're in jail for it. So another reason why the ghost tour was so unique. So I have never really been the ghost person. I believe they exist.
I'm the ghost person.
She's the ghost lady. I believe they exist, and I don't want to mess with them. And opposite, she believes them, and then
I mean, I don't want to mess with them. I just want to say what's up.
yeah, she's
girl.
more interactive with it than I'm comfortable. I'm like, you're cool over there in whatever dimension or whatever it is. I'm cool over here. We won't mess with each other, and here we are. Here we are poking the bear.
I think it's cultural because I think in the Latinx community, we grow up hearing ghost stories. We grow up hearing La Llorona, La Lechuza, all that stuff. And I think Caucasians, white people, they just don't think it's real. Because anytime I see a ghost show, it'll be like a family of 5, and they'll all experience something paranormal, and they keep it to themselves. They're like, nah. And it's always something ridiculous. They'll get dragged out of bed.
That's fair.
They'll
we got to
see
do better
like
as a
tables
community.
floating, and they're like, nah, I'm just crazy.
I'm making a call of action to all white people to not do that.
Please share. And then
Don't
6
do
months
any of
later, after all the kids are traumatized, the parents are having marital issues.
We gotta stop
They're like,
that.
what the fuck is wrong, Karen? And she's like, look, Derek, I see shit. And someone threw me off the bed. And they're like, oh, fuck, really? Me too? And that's when they start
They don't ever
figuring
move.
things out. No.
We don't ever move.
No.
So I'm not into it. I'm more of the alien person. She's into it, and I just don't want to poke the bear.
I believe he doesn't.
Until the ghost tour, there was a section where they were using dowsing rods, and they handed them
We
out to
took a
people.
really cool ghost tour. I wish I remember the name so we can plug them.
I really
Did you
don't.
hear
We'll
that?
tag them if we find them. We'll tag them.
Yeah, we'll tag them.
Yeah,
I'll find it.
and yeah, because it was we had a great time.
And so it was with professional ghost hunters and psychics and mediums.
Yeah, we did a bunch of different
and
things.
they brought a whole bunch of equipment and they let you pick what to use. So
Mhm.
they had like DVDs, they had
Which is wild.
ghost boxes, they had dowsing rods, and they're like, here, like try these out, walk around, see if you can connect with some ghost peeps.
And guess who did?
Not me.
This guy. It was wild. So I had the 2 dowsing rods, and then the murders just happened at the time, and I actually asked you like how they work. Is you just ask a question. If ask for
If
a
you
yes.
don't know what dowsing rods are, they're.
Actually,
We have some
we actually have some.
for the after show.
Shout
Tune
out
in.
to our interns.
No, that's our producer.
Producer, I'm the worst.
Intern fell over there.
That's true. We only have one. I don't know if you can. So it's a brass
Yeah.
or copper little device
Yeah,
that
pull this one up closer.
yeah
to you.
that
y-
that spin around. And you ask
You
the,
kind of just hold them and like you let them like, can you give me a yes, and they'll show you what a yes is and what a no is.
and so I hear all the critics already saying
It's just the wind.
just the wind.
There was no wind.
No
that day.
wind.
No wind. It was the summer. It was like July.
Yeah. And it was actually a really nice
Really
day.
hot.
Like really hot, yeah. And then, so you're holding them, so I'm actually asking a question. I was like, great spirits out there, whatever I said. Show me a yes, and they went, like it wasn't like a gradual turn, and I'm sitting there going, oh boy. Do the same thing, show me a no, it does a different sign, and then you're able to ask the spirits yes or no question. So really cool, really interactive, and I wasn't expecting
It's
anything
like a
to
less
happen.
scary Ouija.
Yes, it's just a real quick talk. So I'm sitting there for half an hour,
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Meanwhile, I'm like in a field somewhere, convinced it's gonna be me,
Right, and I'm
and
just
I'm
like,
getting nothing.
getting nothing. And so, yeah, just asked her questions. I didn't ask her name because, like I said, I could have been like, is your name Chanel? But I was a horrible person to remember names at the time. So had a 45-minute conversation with one of these ladies, I believe. And at the end, I remember freaking out going, so the guy that they caught, was he the one that did that? And it swung like the hardest part of the whole question, yes. Personal thing for me, not being like such a just ghost person in general, like
Yeah.
that was wild.
I remember he came up to me, and he's not a ghost person. He doesn't get scared easily or anything like that. And he comes up to me, and I was in the fucking field with my dowsing rods, and I'm like, man, fuck it here. There's no fucking ghost here. Ain't no one trying to talk to me. And then he came up to me. He looked all pale, and his eyes were huge, and he was all
Nuts.
scared. And he was like, yo.
I had this whole conversation, but hey, they caught the guy. Can we go? I feel better.
And
that they
this was
caught
a
the guy.
night ghost tour, so
It
I think it
was.
was at midnight. They were like, all right, here's the time where
Time
you get
to
to
go.
connect. Yeah.
So, which was crazy. So, that's really all I had. Just the unfortunately, as tragic as the murders was, it just didn't have.
Were.
Yep, were. Didn't have that necessarily the serial killer vibe where there's just where you could find a lot more information.
It was just two assholes.
Yeah. So instead of having a whole episode about that, there's actually a lot of history about White Rock Lake and why even before these murders people think that it's haunted, and so we're just gonna have a brief little rundown of it.
Sorry, my legs hurt.
It's a little guy.
Okay. So I'm gonna talk about the folklore and the ghost legend of White Rock Lake. So the earliest written version of this story, so in White Rock Lake, they have a local legend. I don't know if you're familiar with the hitchhiking ghost. Usually every big city or every small town, every city has a version of it where someone's driving, they're trucking along, and they see a young lady at the side of the road and trying to hitchhike. They pick her up, try to take her somewhere, and she disappears.
Other than Scooby-Doo, I have not had any story
It's
like
Metal
that, and I
Kids.
think this is kind of like the cultural difference thing too. Just
Oh,
my
no,
house
no,
just.
the hitchhiking is prevalent in your people.
Oh no, I'm just saying that, but just like specifically my household, that none of that stories was kind of ever
Whack.
brought up. So it's
Okay.
Scooby-Doo.
So we actually have a lot of documentation and history in Dallas and at White Rock Lake, which I thought was really interesting, because usually it's word of mouth, but there's actually like newspaper articles and there was a radio show, and I'll get into it. So the earliest written story of the so in this legend, it's called the Lady of the White Rock Lake. There's a lady that people pick up. The earliest version of this story that was written down, there could have been oral. There could have been
How was that?
orals.
Wait, hold on. How was that? Like oral, in case you didn't know. Yeah.
Oral versions, but the first written version was a story named Lady of the Lake, published in 1943, and it was written by my girl, Anne Clark. In this version of the story, a young couple is parked on the shore of White Rock Lake. When they turn their headlights on, right here,
Yeah. Right there.
they turn their headlights on, they see a woman in white coming towards them. The young woman was dressed in a sheer,
Oh.
wet,
Ooh.
white dress.
You know what? I do want to see her. Hey, hold on. Come back. Where you
Ma'am,
go?
miss,
Miss.
mommy. And she spoke to them in a so she came up, they turn on the headlights, they see a sexy lady in a sheer white dress,
Gotta pick her up, man. I get it.
right? And she comes up to them and she's like, threesome? No. In a nervous voice, she says, and this is in quotations, "I'm so sorry to intrude. And I would not I wouldn't in any other circumstances." Not me stuttering.
It's okay. It's spooky. It's a spooky night.
She was nervous, so she obviously stuttered.
Oh, so you're getting into character.
I am.
Right. Okay.
I'm wet in a sheer dress.
Method.
See a couple. I need help. But I must find a way home immediately. My boat overturned, the others are safe, but I must go home. And then she climbed into the rumble seat of their car, which I was
Oh my
like,
goodness. Is that really what it's called?
Yeah.
God, Jesus.
And I'm doing research. I'm like, the fuck is a rumble seat? So a rumble seat is also known as a dicky seat and also known as the mother-in-law seat.
Of
It's
course
an
it is.
upholstered exterior seat which is folded into the rear end of a coach. So it's like those old-timey cars with a big wheel and they just had like two seaters. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
talking
Yeah.
about? So in the back you could pull out a seat. So she just like pulled it out and sat down like ride
Oh, straight in the middle then.
straight. Yeah.
Even
And-
creepier.
Yeah, so she gets into that seat and they're like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to get y'all wet," because I'm sure she could have fit in the middle.
She's
Or do I?
She's in a sheer and she's nice. She doesn't want to get y'all wet.
She asked for consent, and that's
She's-
what matters.
You know, she could be worse.
So she gets in and she's like, "I don't want to get y'all wet. I'll just sit back here." And she gives them an Oak Cliff address. So the Lady of the White Rock Lake, she's from the hood. She's a hood bitch. When they asked her for directions. So she's like, "I live in Oak Cliff. Take me here." And they're like, "Sweet." So they start driving off and they're like, "Okay, where do we turn now?" And they turn around and the rumble seat is empty, but it's still soaked.
Ugh, that gave me the chills. Actually, I don't know if that's it. Ugh, I don't like that.
And
Nope.
so the
with
couple
Creasy.
ends up going to the address that she gave them. And a sad man answered the door and told them, "Can you read it for me?" It has to be a man's voice and get close to the mic. Like a sad old man.
So it's an old man? Do a sad old man?
Yeah.
Oh, this is very strange. You are the third couple who has come with me to this story. 3 weeks ago, while sailing on White Rock Lake, my daughter drowned. I don't know why he sounds like that, but that was just the best.
He sounded like he's from Jersey. He's from Dallas. He's from Oak Cliff.
Oh, I should have been like, oh, 3 weeks ago, while standing on White. Okay, no, that was a little Adam Sandler. No, I went too far.
So that was the first written story, and then I have the next written story that was, oh sorry, I burped.
Yummy.
So this story was submitted in 1943. Later,
Jesus.
yeah, later on, the Dallas Morning News got a letter from a lady in 1982, so like fucking 40 years, 30 years later, claiming that she was actually that woman from that story, and she wanted to give her side of the
All
story.
right. Yeah, hear me out. Where's
Yeah.
my front page article?
So she, this is so funny to me. So she said that the evening that this happened, her and her SMU star athlete boyfriend, who was pro Adolf Hitler,
Oh,
parked at the lake on a steep hill to look at the full moon when her and her boyfriend got into an argument about their wedding date. While arguing, he said to her that Poland deserved what they were getting from Hitler. She was Polish, by the way, and her family were
So fail.
anti-Hitler.
Wait, do you think that's why it's called White Rock Lake? Because he liked
White power.
Zeke? Not gonna finish it. Don't. Mm-mm.
So while they get into like this really heated argument, and while they're arguing, he accidentally
Because you said Poland.
and she's
God, what
like,
did you deserve?
"Excuse me." But what do you expect of a pro-Hitler?
That's fair.
Yeah.
So fair.
This one's on her. Leave the toxicos, ladies.
Yeah.
Leave them.
Hashtag.
Leave the toxicos.
Yeah.
So while they're arguing and the argument gets really heated, he accidentally unlatches the brake to their car, and as he unlatches it, since they were on the hill, the car just zooms down into the lake.
Tuck and roll. Gotta dive out.
Yeah, they both got out as the car was sinking, and he was like, "I'm gonna go get us some help," and she's still mad as fuck, and she's like, "Fuck you," and she walks off. She runs into a couple, and she's like, "Can y'all give me a ride?" Gives the address, right? And she gets into the Rumble, aka mother-in-law, aka
Rumble.
whatever seat.
Another rumble.
Yeah, so she gets on there, and she says that as they get to a light, she sees her fiance, and she's like, "You know what? We're gonna make up." So she hops off and goes and doesn't say anything.
Okay. It's strike two. I feel like.
Right.
I feel like that's. All right.
So the next version of the story actually came out. We're gonna go back in time, 1953, and this is a collab with a famous company and the Lady of the White Rock Lake. Which,
Okay.
as I'm reading this, I'm like, is there a Lady of the White Rock Lake?
It's journalism.
Journalism. So in 1953, a similar version of the Lady of the Lake legend was included in Dallas author Frank X. Tolbert's book. It was called Neiman Marcus, Texas, the story of a proud Dallas
Oh
store.
boy. I hope you
So-
got some of that advertising money if you exist.
Right?
Get your money.
They did a collab. So in this version, a beautiful blonde girl appears on the road near White Rock Lake. Mr. and Mrs. Guy Malloy, directors of display of Neiman Marcus, spot her standing as if she just walked up from the beach. So I picture like a slow-mo, like,
Does she have the shear?
oh, we'll get to that.
And is it a Neiman Marcus shear?
Oh,
Sorry.
Upon seeing the girl standing in the beams of their headlights, Mrs. Malloy said, "Stop, Guy. That girl seems in trouble. She must have fallen in the lake. Her dress is wet. Yet you can tell that it's a very fine dress. She certainly got it at the store."
Oh boy.
The store, of course, being Neiman Marcus. If he
Okay.
wants to sponsor us, that'd be great.
Always open.
Always open. I can be the lady for you. The friendly girl, I'm not blonde, but I could be.
That's fair. Yeah.
The friendly
Science.
the friendly girl asked them to take her to an address on Gaston Avenue and nearby Lakewood. She didn't explain why she was soaked, and the Malloys were too polite to ask. Her long hair began to dry in the night breeze as Mrs. Malloy was now sure that the girl's dress was from Neiman Marcus. The girl got in the back seat of the two-door sedan when the car started. Mrs. Malloy turned to discover that the girl was vanished. The only trace of her was a damp spot in the back seat.
Ooh. Brought to you by Neiman Marcus.
Right? Puzzled, the Malloys went to the address she provided to them. A middle-aged man met them at the door, and he informed them that his blonde daughter, who wore nothing but Neiman Marcus
Oh, boy.
clothes, drowned 2 years ago before she fell at the pier at White Rock Lake and drowned. So I was like, not the collab.
Oh man, like yeah, you're laying it on a little thick there, Neiman Marcus. You might want to be a little more subtle in your advertising.
Yeah. In 1967, October 18th, Dallas talk radio personality Chuck Boyles invited his listeners to find one of Dallas' most infamous phantoms. So this radio guy was like, we're gonna get her
On the radio.
on the radio.
Proof.
During the broadcast, Boyles asked the local community to find the Lady of the Lake and to hunt her down and solve the mystery forever. which he was like, I'll be there, and that's what enticed people to go. Nobody saw him there, but he said he was there incognito.
Right.
So I was cracking up when I was reading this because in like a later interview he was like, well, if they would have seen me, it would have turned into a riot. It did, even
Smooth.
a riot, right? He invited everyone to join him at White Rock Lake Park in the early morning. An estimated 1,000 teenagers and ranging in ages from 13 to 25.
Oh, jeez.
Am I a teenager?
Are you the victim? No.
Swarmed over the area in hundreds of cars. What was probably a harmless gathering, the police took as a potential riot, per usual. They were just trying to catch a ghost, man.
Yeah, man. Put her in cuffs, apparently.
Now they just wanted to
Yeah,
see. They're just gonna. I don't know how they were gonna catch her.
Yeah, I know.
Help me catch her. You put her in a net.
Well, you rip off the mask, just like in Scooby-Doo.
So 47 police officers were called to restrain the crowd, and as they were there, I guess harassing them, the teenagers heckled the police and threw coins at them. So then they said it was a riot, and they ended up like attacking them per usual. They made a few arrests, and the incident passed without any damage to the area because they weren't there to riot. They were there to ghost hunt. Yeah. Boyles was publicly chastised by city officials to the point where he made an official apology 2 days later on the air. He created the biggest public store over any single ghost or phantom or spirit in Texas history.
On the map.
Yes, on the map. So does she exist? I don't know. But if she did, she doesn't anymore, and here's why. So after extensive Google and YouTube research,
Of course.
yeah,
We solved it.
we solved it.
We'll feed you. Come on, just listen.
I don't know when, but recently, like in the past 10, 15 years, a psychic and her squad came to the lake, held a seance on one of these very picnic tables, and they spoke to her. And this is how the conversation went.
Oh boy.
You the lady of White Rock Lake? Yeah. Do you know you're dead? What?
Is that bullshit? Is that bullshit?
No.
Oh my god.
I don't know if that's what she said. They didn't
thought
have
you-
a transcript, but this is how I think it went.
You had me. I was like,
She said, "What?"
she was not.
She said, "Where the hell have you been, Loca?"
God damn it. Fooled me.
Basically, they had a seance. They spoke with her. They told her she was dead as hell, and she's like, "The fuck?" And they're like, "It's good. You can cross over." And she's like, "For reals?" And they were like, "Yeah." And she crossed over, and apparently there hasn't been a sighting of her since.
That's crazy.
And the YouTuber that I watched, I'll tag him, or his video in it, was cracking me up because he was driving around here at night. And every time he saw someone, he like yelled like, "Don't pick her up!" What are you doing?
Rule.
Don't pick her up.
Very important rule. Never do that.
Never do that.
Mm.
I mean, she seemed pretty harmless. She just seemed lost and confused, and she had great style.
By Neiman Marcus.
By
Yeah,
Neiman,
by Neiman
brought
Marcus.
to you by
Just,
Neiman Marcus.
Yeah, man. I just still don't. Yeah, no. I'm glad she is harmless.
Which I feel ripped off because we paid like $140 to find her.
But do you think that maybe that's true, and that's why I had my experience with?
Well, the lady of the White Rock Lake is different from who you spoke with.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, did you
Yeah.
think I was able to speak to them because she was gone?
No, I think it's whoever contacts you, right?
Oh, okay.
Like whoever decides to reach out to you.
Interesting.
So
Expert. I know nothing.
there have been a lot of drownings here and a lot of police reports of women that would have matched the description of the lady of the White Rock Lake, but nothing's. You
Gotcha.
can't unless you ask her. Is this you?
Julie? No. So.
Julie.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, to figure out who she is. I don't know. That's why. Okay, so just to go over yours, I don't believe the Neiman Marcus story. I don't believe that.
What if
one.
it happened? Like just the girl came up, wanted a rat, climbed in.
I feel like big corporation just took that story and trying to make it more popular. I believe the story,
Think
but
about
not
the
by
time.
Neiman Marcus.
It was like a weird. I feel like they would be. I don't know. Like I feel like the America is really Christian, and they would have seen that as like, oh my God,
Yeah.
the devil's work or something. It wasn't like something right now, like a TikTok of Neiman
Sure.
Marcus saying.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair. But to put it in the newspaper,
Maybe they
I don't
did
know.
say
It's just
it.
it's
Maybe they did say it, and the guys were like, "We should say she was wearing a Neiman Marcus dress."
yeah, like I mean, were there coupons for Neiman Marcus in this newspaper? You know what I mean? Like it's
There
just
could
it's,
have
it's just like
been.
like it just feels. So I like the original story by itself, but it's just the Neiman Marcus thing throws me off. I must admit.
I actually, I was talking about this with my coworkers that I was gonna come out here and do this podcast, and after they were like, "This bitch weird," one of them told me that she actually used to live around here, and she experienced a lot of sleep paralysis, and that she hasn't experienced it anywhere else. And she said when she would drive around here that she felt like a weird vibe. So I will say that.
So it is a spooky place.
It is I mean, there's been
I believe
fuck
that.
ton
I believe
of
that the late.
drownings and apparently murder victims thrown in there.
Yeah, I totally believe.
Now me looking
white-
back, like I'm gonna see
The
them.
white lady could be back there. I totally am cool with that.
The
I just
white
don't-
lady.
Whatever her name, the lady of White Rock Lake. I'm assuming she's white. I don't know.
They always are.
While I was doing my research, I read the funniest thing, and I guess is kind of where
Funnier than Neiman Marcus.
I'm kind of jaded just by. Granted, this was written not that long ago, what I'm about to read, but it's just, I don't know, the feeling of just trying to like oversell it or whatever. So this was written in, should I say the name of the magazine?
Yeah. D magazine.
D magazine. So it's like Dallas magazine. So it's
Dick magazine.
and someone literally
Daddy magazine.
Daddy. No. But someone got paid for so this person was here. I don't remember what the person's name was.
What year?
Recently, within the past couple years, enough for Deep Magazine to post it online. And so he took pictures of like these wooden, I don't know what they're like stacks of wood, but they formed into like this little shape or whatever. And there was two of them, right? And he
Wait, how'd the shape look?
kind of went like that.
Okay.
You just want to see it again?
No, you went like a bootylicious lady.
Hey, you never know that the lady of White Rock Lake could be thick.
She could be thick. Is
and
she
that
thick?
sheer, she probably got that Badussi and everything. So this is what the guy wrote with those wood things. Dear readers, the disturbing image you see here was captured 2 days ago at White Rock Lake. I was on a ride when I spotted this structure at the water's edge and immediately stopped to record the scene. Here is a close-up shot. Wood thing.
We'll post it on our
Yeah,
Instagram.
we'll post it. So you can study in great detail the evidence of what is transpiring in one of Dallas's most beloved parks. You see the rope? Yes. The telltale construction techniques used in the log structure, and we're not talking algebraic geometry! Exclamation point. I didn't want to...
Algebraic geometry.
Algebraic geometry. This is clearly the work of goblins. Okay. So... This was written... This guy's saying it's a goblin cult, or orcs, or maybe hobbits. This was...
Maybe hobbits
Maybe.
from Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Dallas's real problem is the goblin death cult at the lake, and I laughed.
And this was recent?
Someone got paid to write this article. Loved reading it.
Did you hear that?
And it's probably the guy who wrote the article. I'm sorry. Could you hear me? All
that
the
a
way,
scream?
all the way over here. Yeah, the guy's upset. So apparently there's a goblin death cult.
Maybe
here.
it was the goblins.
And yeah, so it's never been the lady.
It
but
was actually the goblins.
goblin death cult.
In a sheer dress.
So I just laughed, and I knew you were doing the research of it. And I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't bring this up, because if not, this is the funniest thing I have ever heard. So this I don't know if you have anything else you wanna add.
No?
We're gonna be recording our second podcast here. I don't know what time we're at. We're only at 34 minutes.
Not us doing a fast episode.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't just a lot of research on on my end, especially about, other than, like I said, the guy killed it, and or killed one of them, and he already admitted and all that stuff though. So
Maybe.
I just wanted more info on the Goblin Death Cult, but shocker, not a lot to it. So
I guess we can talk about ghost stories.
yeah, we can do a little bit of the ghost stories for sure. I want to know any.
I
Stories?
do. I want to honor my grandpa by talking about a story of when he used to be a dog, and he would be very proud of the story. I know. Shout out Amador Hernandez in Sagun, Mexico. So
I'm hoping you better be subscribed too. Yo, I'm kidding.
imagine now he's like deaf and blind now. He doesn't know who I am.
Oh, that's sad. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. Like, oh boy.
Imagine.
Oh boy.
So, when he was younger, he was a bit of a playa, and when he was older, and my grandpa, he would tell me these stories before bed. Because I'm telling you, I've always been obsessed with ghost stories, obsessed with spirits, the occult, all of that, right? So, before bed, I would always ask my parents, literally anyone tucking me in, like, "Do you have a ghost story?
Right.
You have a ghost story before bed?" So I remember a story he told me where this is what he said. He's like, when I was younger, I was a bit of a dog. He said,
Modest. Gotta
right.
love the
He's
modesty.
like, yeah, I was a bit of a ladies' man.
That's great.
No cap. And I believed it.
If you can rep it.
Right. So he's saying that he's driving after work in his truck, and he's driving like in this really, because it's Mexico in the fucking 20s, who knows, whenever he was born, 30s. Or I guess he was not a baby when he was driving, so I don't know, 40s, and he's a teenager.
Awesome.
He said he's driving through this creepy dark road. There's no lights there. There's only his headlights. And as he's driving, he sees a lady in a white dress with long dark hair, which is red flag.
Nope. I'm out.
Just walking up in the road, and he's like, "Damn, shawty, you thick."
Let me holler at you.
Let me holla.
Holla.
So he said he's driving and he's checking her out. He's like, "I'm a holler." So he starts speeding up to catch up with her, but no matter how fast he's going, he just can't catch up with her.
Shoot your
He
shot.
just sees, he's trying to shoot
a
his shot.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's speeding and not catching up, and that wasn't a red flag to him. He's like, the dick fucking rules.
Doesn't have proper blood circulation yet.
Right.
Get it.
Right. So he starts thinking like, we're about to come up to a lake, and we're about to go over a bridge of the lake, and I actually know a shortcut to the lake.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm going to take this shortcut, and I'm going to cut her off in front of the bridge, and she's going to have to talk to me then. And I was like, that's kind of
Undeniable
rapey.
logic. Allegedly.
I was like, not my grandpa being weird.
Hey, man.
Yeah, but when I was younger, I was like, that makes sense.
I mean, he didn't have Twitter or any of that. He couldn't holler at her. So
I was like, all right.
Take your chance.
He was like, shoot your shot, man.
Hey, man.
So he says he takes a shortcut and gets to the bridge and parks, turns off the car, and he's like, hell yeah. And he's waiting and waiting and waiting. He's like, bitch hat. And then he looks over to the other side of the bridge, and she's on the other side. And he's like, bullshit. There's no way if she took this trail that she can catch up here. There's no fucking way. So that's when he starts getting like a chill up his spine. But instead of getting out of there, he's like, I got a flashlight. I'm going to check this out. He's still trying to holler.
She's got that
He's
wop,
like,
like, hey, have you
she's
seen
a runner.
this
She's
girl?
a track
Yeah.
star.
Yo.
She did have that wop eventually. So he says he grabs his flashlight and starts walking up towards her. And this is night. I don't know if I clarified it's in the middle of the night.
Of course, it always is.
Right. And
Never at
he's
noon.
walking towards her, and she never gives him his face. Like, even if she sees the side of her, like the long black hair, the ring covering her face, and he starts feeling weird. So he's following her with the flashlight, and she goes in front of the lake, and he's like, what is she doing? And she ends up walking on top of the lake like fucking Jesus. And he's like, what the fuck?
Time to go.
And he's like, what the fuck? So he's staring at her and she like walks to the middle and just sinks in. And that's when he said that he felt like his head got big, that his ears got hot, and he's like, oh no. And he like runs back to his truck,
Good for him.
gets in, and just drives the fuck off. And he gets home and he's like telling people about it, and they're like, bullshit, you're weird. Like, why would they do that? And he says a couple months passed where they ended up deciding to drain that lake. And when they drained that lake, they found a lot of gold, like a ton of gold at the bottom of the lake. And he's like, damn, now her trying to hook me up with the gold.
Get that booty for the booty, you know, trying to get it all to him, yeah.
Exactly. So I think about that very often. So if you see a lady walking on the lake and sinking, there's gold there. She's trying to hook it up.
So there could be gold in there.
Well, you have to see a lady walk there and sink
I'm
with that logic.
Yeah. Because it could be anywhere on this lake. Shit.
Yes, it's a big ass lake.
It's pretty large. It's pretty large.
So she she actually said, follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy.
Sorry, I sidetracked. So I can tell a story about my mom when she saw a lady in a white dress. Basically, red flag if you see a lady in the white dress floating, going by a lake or anything. So my mom's actually from Honduras, and she tells me a story that she used to work at a hotel.
Okay.
She used to help manage a hotel at night, so she would do inventory and she would serve, and she wore many hats. And so they had a bar at the hotel, so she would get off pretty late. And she talks about getting off at around 1 o'clock in the morning one night, and she said that there was where she lived was like a dangerous area, and it wasn't really safe to take the bus or walk home or anything, but that she had a buddy that was a taxi driver, and he would always come pick her up and take her home so she could be safe.
Oh, nice.
So he showed up to pick her up, and he was like, I have a couple in the back seat, and do you mind just sitting in the front today? And she's like, yeah, no problem. I mean, you're taking me home for free. So
Can't
sure.
beat that.
So they're driving, and it's kind of a funny story. So she says that her and the driver are catching up, talking. Meanwhile, the couple in the back seat are like basically fucking in the back seat. So they're driving and driving and driving. Same situation. Probably she was born in the 60s, so probably like 70s. No lights in Honduras, really rural, bumpy road. They're driving and they see this lady in a white dress, long dark hair, red flag.
Oh, no. So out.
Yeah, and they see her walking like around, and they're like, he's like, you see that? And she's like, yeah. Like, that's weird. He's like, should I pick her up? And she's like, no.
Absolutely not. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, so as they're getting closer, the lady kind of stops, like she's waiting for them. And they're looking at each other like, this is weird. And meanwhile, the couple in the back still fucking just unaware of what's going on.
Hey, man. No need to stop.
And when they catch up to the lady, she starts walking across the street. So he kind of like stops. He's like, I don't want to hit her.
Catch a charge.
And she swears up and down. And she's like a no bullshit lady. Like, she doesn't just tell crazy stories like that.
That's true.
She swears up and down that as they like slow down and stop, that the lady floated over the hood of the car. And she's like, damn it, Anna, I don't know what was scarier, that lady was floating over the car, or that he was screaming and freaking out and he looked at me and he had no teeth in his mouth.
Oh.
So lady floats over and drives away. He freaks out, like speeds off, drops her off, and that was just something weird.
Yeah, I mean,
that happened to them, and she's like, I can't explain it to this day.
Is that a producer?
Not the producer catching the
scared.
goat. That scared me.
The tree branch broke. That was wild. See, like the only ghost story I ever heard from
your uncle, right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that,
Oh.
actually, just because, yeah, I had an uncle that died, and it was just like stories of, sorry, that blew my mind, of him like walking around and stuff like that. The one that I was gonna say that has like that creepy vibe, that's it's sad, like he's really sad. But like there was when my mom was growing up, there was like a house that was for sale in her neighborhood, and the story goes that this couple or this family that lived there, they would hang their clothes out on a line to dry them.
I think I've heard this story.
Yeah, my mom loves telling it. I'm totally gonna butcher it, but it's just how I remember it. Would lay their clothes out on the line, and like she'd come back, and however much time until they were done, and the clothes would be gone. And so she went back in, like called the police or something, and she walked back out, and all the clothes were back
Oh,
in the
no.
exact same rows. And me as a little kid, I'm like, that's wild, time to move. But so they never moved.
So that happened to your mom?
No, it was like a house in my mom's neighborhood, if I
Okay.
remember correctly. I don't remember if she saw it herself or it was just a story that either her mom told her. I'm fuzzy with that. And then there was one room, or at least this is how, once again, I remember it. There was one room that was just absolutely filthy that the owner went to, but she just never got around time to like cleaning it because they were moving or whatever. And then one day she came back and it was perfectly clean. Right?
Imagine. I want that type of help.
And then so like she, if I remember correctly, she was like calling people to like this is really happening. Come here, like it's crazy. You have to come check out this room. And then it would be completely different than what it was before. One was cold, and then it became hot, or vice versa. I don't really remember. But that's really all I got. It was just a haunted house in her neighborhood.
What about your uncle's story? You want to tell that one?
I'm trying to remember what.
She says that they got a call that he passed. And
Oh yeah.
I probe everybody for ghost stories.
Yeah. I just really don't remember that well because, sorry. So I think if I remember correctly that, like the night before, like he passed or whatever, my mother had like a dream or like had a thing.
I think she
About
dreamt
him.
about him. I think that's what she said.
Yeah, dreamt about him. And it was kind of like a foresight thing or forebode, whatever that had happened. Unless you remember the story differently, I feel like there's more to it that I'm not.
I feel like she said she dreamed about it, and then that he passed, and they went to his house to like take care of things,
Mm-hmm.
and then she heard like movement in his room or something like that.
Yeah, the walking.
Not you not remembering.
I don't
the
remember. I did.
story.
Well, honestly, but then again, I didn't grow up that story. The first time I heard that story, I was already older. Obviously, when it happens, I'm 7 or 8. So then, when like, hey, guess what? This happened too. On top of
Oh, but
everyone
man, I
being
remember
sad.
when I was little, I would probe, and I'd be like, tell me again. Tell me the story again. And it was just, I was obsessed. I still, like, I listen to nonstop true scary stories on YouTube. I read it. I listen to Scared to Death, where it's Dan Cummings and his wife Lindsay telling ghost story. I'm just obsessed. In and out.
Yeah, and I overhear her listening sometimes, and I hear one story and like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to do it. So, but I think it's nice that we have that the dynamics that you can actually teach me about things that I am totally unaware of. So I'm learning just as much as y'all are at home, and then I get to bore you with alien stuff. So it works out. So that's going to be our episode, I guess, today. It was a little short, but
I just want to say that it's been super windy everywhere, and there's no wind here. There's like a light breeze, which I thought it was gonna like mess with our audio when we were debating on whether or not we should record in the car.
Yeah, because even on the drive here, it was still windy.
Yeah.
And then and then it stopped here, so that is a little spooky. Now that you bring that up, if this is the last thing you ever hear from us, this is
We lie here.
take care of this one. So yeah, let's just plug our ats and we'll meet you on the next
We'll
podcast.
hopefully see you next time. I hope this was a nice spooky episode. I don't know why it went so fast.
Yeah, 'cause just not a lot of. I mean, there's just the legend, and then the murderers. I mean, there's just not, unfortunately, not too much. But you can follow us at Conspirial_podcast on Instagram, at Conspirial on TikTok. We have a Gmail. It's Conspirial, CONSPIRIAL @gmail.com.
You can follow content for him on Facebook. It's Addison Rose Comedy. It's a Facebook page. You can follow him. He never posts, but you should
I'm the worst.
bully him and put into posting. You can follow me and my selfies on Instagram at Annadez, ANNADEZ.
And I only have an Instagram to follow, Conspirial, so I got nothing there for you either, unfortunately. So, yeah, thank you for watching.
Yeah, if you're
share.
a ghost, like, share, follow, and subscribe. I'd love to do a collab with you. If you're an alien, he would love to be abducted.
Yeah, I mean, I think loved is a strong word for being abducted. It'd be cool.
I would not. Please leave me out of this.
It would be a story.
Not my monkey, not my circus.
The
No interest in
universe
that.
yeah,
I'm good. I saw the fourth kind. That's it.
I'm kind of leaning towards it. So you have a little trauma. No, so such is life, you know. Ugh. See you next time. Thank you for stopping by. Like, share, subscribe, and we're gonna try to keep putting out a couple videos a week. So we have this one, and then we have our alleged confessions
After this.
So you can check that out as well. Night, y'all.
Bye.